The border is closed. The border is secure.
Our border is by no means secure.
So I'm going to run through some stories about this secure border I keep hearing about from Alejandro Mayorkas. The first one is News Nation interviewed an anonymous Border Patrol agent. If you've been paying attention about the border over the last few years, some of these comments will not come as a surprise to you, but it is always interesting to hear these comments coming from a source straight from the border instead of a propagandist in DC.
The biggest thing is that we do not control the border. The cartel controls the border. Everything that we do is a reaction to things that they have planned. Usually we're chasing around pawns while the kings and queens are doing whatever they want.
Do you think there are people that are coming over that have the intent to do our neighbors, our friends, our family members harm?
Absolutely. These huge give-up groups that we're getting, the media is only reporting what they can report on, right? Which is, statistically speaking, a small percentage of the actual bad guys that we're catching. Who's getting through? The really good ones, we will never catch. You can't pay attention to the matches that are walking through the border when all you can see is the little bonfire. Our border is by no means secure.
And they have his face blurred not because of the cartel or any sort of danger at the border, but because he says he is afraid from retaliation by the government.
So are you more scared of ramifications from the government than you are from the cartel?
Absolutely. Look at the way you have me presented to do an interview when I'm off duty. I'm terrified to talk to the media because I'm scared of what, the government could do, which obviously would be lose my job, right? Which I don't think is fair.
Then we go to another thing that DC is telling us is not happening, which is crimes being committed by illegal immigrants. If I compiled all of the news stories about crimes being committed by these immigrants, I could have hours and hours and hours of footage. But for now, here are some of what we'll call highlights. Starting with a Home Depot that has been taken over by illegal immigrants.
And we were talking about some of the recent occurrences where residents and customers may have felt threatened or harassed by some of the individuals that have been congregating in the parking lot. They may have been identified as part of the migrant population. Obviously, late night store hours and safety measures, NYPD, greater enforcement, cameras, talking about the positions of the cameras, a K-9 unit that Home Depot has hired through its security company.
For months now, police have been investigating nonviolent crimes around the center along San Pedro. Prostitution, counterfeit documents, and theft. At the center of it all, a notorious Venezuelan gang known for human trafficking and violence.
They start assimilating and getting involved, and then they take over. They're like a cancer.
And so that was a huge, stressful concern for me, worried about my staff.
The crime organization hiding among innocent people seeking asylum and the challenges police face identifying members.
An arrest made for an alleged kidnapping of a child. The sheriff's office says that the suspect sexually assaulted a minor. Details right now not immediately made known during the case at this time. Investigators say Marvin Lopez is undocumented and from Guatemala.
The district attorneys of both El Paso and Doña Ana counties say they are seeing a definite rise in crimes involving migrants. And both men say their offices are ready to handle the growing number of migrant criminals. Alleged criminals, rather. Sunday on ABC7 Extra with Mark Ross, El Paso District Attorney Bill Hicks and Doña Ana County District Attorney Gerald Byers discuss how their offices are prosecuting migrant crimes like the March 21st riot and border breach.
This is state prosecution. This is not about immigration. Our perspective is we're looking at it from the standpoint of the humanitarian aspect of people not being treated like property and other criminal individuals and criminal organizations profiting from manipulating these individuals as if they're some type of chattel property.
Police say just before 10 o'clock last night, a migrant couple were arguing in an apartment on Vance Jackson near Fredericksburg Road. Investigators say the neighbor told the couple to calm down and then left. That's when the migrant man went to the neighbor's apartment and put a gun to his head, threatening to kill him. The neighbor then shot the suspect in the hand and foot, and a woman in her 20s who was a bystander was accidentally hit in the leg.
This morning, a Lake Worth Beach mother is behind bars accused of trying to hire a hitman to kill witnesses involved in her son's murder case. Josefina Cardona appeared before a judge for the first time yesterday morning. Investigators at the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office say she was trying to hire a hitman to kill two people she claims are responsible for her son's 2022 arrest. Authorities say she's in the country illegally and will be subject to deportation after the case is over.
Dramatic body cam video shows the moments these K-9 officers grabbed a hold of 31-year-old Angel Kuzchak in this heavily wooded area off I-4 Thursday.
Put your hand behind your back.
A detective spotted him walking out of an abandoned pole barn 18 hours after the sheriff says he brutally stabbed and killed his 36-year-old partner and her 4-year-old daughter before running from this Dover mobile home.
This was a gruesome scene. This murderer will now face the full weight of the criminal justice system for this heinous and vile murders that he committed against these two innocent victims.
Hillsborough County Sheriff Chad Chronister says Kuzchak and the victims have been living in this area for a few months, and they believe Kuzchak entered the country illegally.
One of the other things we're seeing here in San Diego County is boat landings. Boats just being beached up on our beaches, and about 4 per week, or about a dozen people jump off a boat, run into a neighborhood, get picked up by cars. These people coming off on the boats, we have no idea who they are, where they're going, and what their intentions might be.
So with the border continuing to be overrun and crimes being committed, let's take a look at what the Biden administration's doing.
Biden administration for the past weeks has been discussing several policy options to resettle and welcome some Palestinian refugees fleeing the war in Gaza. That is according to internal documents that we obtain here at CBS News. We know that one of the plan involves officials now vetting refugees in Egypt. These are Palestinians with American citizen or resident family members who have been able to get out of Gaza, and vetting them there in Egypt and then processing them into the U.S.
Should this happen, which it almost certainly will, here's a little preview from a Minnesota culture night. Senator Bob Casey of Pennsylvania.
Hey, Bob Casey! John Fetterman! Hey, everybody!
Was asked about Biden's plan and refused to answer the question.
Senator Casey, do you support Biden's plan to resettle Gazan refugees in the United States? Senator Casey, do you support Biden's plan to resettle Gazan refugees in the United States? Do you think Biden should send Gazan refugees to Pennsylvania? Senator Casey, can I get a comment on that? Do you think that we should resettle Gazans in Pennsylvania, Senator Casey? Why are you avoiding the comment on the question? It's a yes or no. Why do you not want to comment on the question, Senator Casey? Senator Casey, should we resettle Gazans in Pennsylvania? Why are you walking away from that question? Senator, why are you walking away from the question?
Lastly, we have more complaining coming from the Chicago area, this time about a proposed illegal immigrant shelter.
Strong reactions tonight from residents after learning Mayor Brandon Johnson is considering plans to open a new temporary migrant shelter in their Southside neighborhood.
And he don't know where to put him. Why would you put him in our neighborhood? Well, why don't we go by your house?
All of that money that he's given them, we've been begging for years.
We've lived here our whole life. We have a lot of bad things that happen here already. We do not need this. We just do not.
Located just blocks away from Guaranteed Rate Field, the proposed building near Canal and Pershing is in the city's 11th ward.
Look at where it's at. It's hid in the back. Why is that a good location? We have no amenities here as it is.
Alderwoman Nicole Lee issued this letter to constituents yesterday, saying she was notified earlier this week and met with the mayor on Thursday. She says the city wants to move migrants staying at the Standard Club near the Dirksen Federal Building to her ward before the Democratic National Convention.
This is just insane. It doesn't make sense. Keep them downtown. Keep them, I don't know. I mean, this is not our problem.
And I would just remind the people of Illinois that
elections have consequences.